Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Musings&Review channel, and today we are watching episode 8 of Realist Hero. So last episode, we got into a little bit of a, I would say sidetracked in a sense, because we went off and built a city and so on and so forth, when in actuality, there are some stuff happening behind the scenes in regards to the main story and the main conflict of this particular arc, right? Even though it seems we're doing a lot of seemingly unrelated things, they're all related to this one big arc that we are currently in right now. So, are we going to get back to it? Honestly, I kind of forgot if we are going to go back to the main, the main conflict point in this episode. But hey, let's just get into it and see, shall we? Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, still... okay. Look, it's literally a battleship being pulled by sea dragons. Although, no, cannons probably wouldn't really look like that. Kind of makes sense, right? Although, in this part though, I'm still a little bit dubious about their explanation in regards to this, right? Because there is magic in this world, so guns were not developed. If anything, I feel like it would be an even faster development because you want to have something to counter the fact that another country might have more powerful mages and whatnot, right? It makes for an interesting discussion because a lot of other isekai works and whatnot, or similar kind of stuff, light novels, they do kind of delve into this part and take a different perspective as well, right? Like I just mentioned, because of the fact that many people can use, or sorry, not many people, right? Mages are still something of a specialty, right? And in a lot of works, mages are simply considered as rare, in fact. So when you have when you have like rare mages, and the addition of a mage would obviously be a huge part of any army and whatnot. You would want to try and find a way to replicate the role of a mage, whereas without having to train them in how to use it, right? Like, for instance, take crossbows and normal longbows into consideration, right? Longbows, in order to use a longbow, you need to be trained. You need to be skilled, and it's a long process, right? Whereas with a crossbow, even though the production fee is, of course, a lot higher than longbows, and they have their various pros and cons as well, one of the advantages of a crossbow is that you can have somebody pick it up and manage to shoot it to a relatively high level, at least compared to a longbow, relatively fast and easy. So that is the sort of that's the need drives technological innovation, is what I'm trying to say here. And certainly I've seen many works that try to store like magical power into a specific item or whatnot. I'm trying to shoot up. Alright, anyways, let's get back to the story. See, that's okay. So this is how they're choosing to describe this part. You know, the Mystic Wolf situation happened after Souma realized that they had shoyu, right? Soy sauce. So that was part of the results of what happened during that food show and whatnot. So they're choosing to just describe it and talk about it here. Of course. Unfortunately, the anime did not really... Okay, I probably shouldn't complain so much, but again, it's kind of important, the fact that the country is facing a food shortage. By the way, last episode I had a comment that said, why are you trying to flaunt your knowledge and whatnot and try to, well, have like a holier than you attitude because you already read the light novel and whatnot. And I'm just like, that makes no sense. Do you want me to spoil the story for you? I certainly wouldn't. I'm trying to balance things here. Just dropping enough hints for people to try and think through it without actually saying it out loud. And if you don't like thinking, then I'm sorry, this series is really not for you, alright? Or maybe my videos are not for you. Like, this is literally a series about problem solving. Oh, okay. We're going for the Dark Elf arc first. You know, disaster response and control is also a major part of modern day governments as well. Disaster relief and all that. Disaster relief. Yay. But also, Soma also brings up an interesting point in regards to, you know, mass teleportation or some kind of transportation magic, right? Which is why it's also a common concept in a lot of other isekais or you know, fantasy stuff, where the existence of such or development of such a transportation or teleportation magic would have major consequences in the series as well. Of course, realistically, they would have to be careful if they had any, prior injuries and whatnot, and not just drag them out of it. Because you actually didn't listen to him. They kind of skipped through that entire storyline as well, but yeah, so now they're we'll talk more about that part after the end here, right? Like the uncle's perspective and so on and so forth. to prepare. 'Right. And you might be thinking that, how is he blaming himself for all of this when there's already, he's already doing all that. And that kind of ties into this entire situation with that Robthor guy, that uncle dude. Which, we'll talk after this. Alright, so let's just get into the meat of this episode, right? And, why exactly did Souma still sort of broke down at the very end there? Was that really justified and all that? And, I feel like without establishing some other sort of context, it doesn't really make much sense. So, again, going back to the episode at hand, if you guys remember all the way a few episodes back, when Aisha was first introduced and all that, they were talking about the Dark Elf situation, right? And talking about how they can sort of protect the area, protect the land a lot more. Well, they didn't really go back and touch on that topic for these past few episodes, right? The anime just completely forgot about it. In the novel still, there was actually a follow-up to this. Souma did give a lot of recommendations to the village, to the Dark Elves and whatnot, including, conservation plans, finning plans, and so on and so forth, right? Modern knowledge and whatnot, and in terms of trying to, basically make it a more stable ecosystem, right? And not as wild and untamed. But, as they were saying here at the very end, the uncle, the Robthor dude, he was vehemently opposed to everything that was being done here. And so there was basically no progress at all in terms of Souma's recommendations. And so, the fact that this happened in the end, it didn't really come as too much of a surprise, and indeed, even throughout those few, as a reader, right, hearing about, like, how Souma is already doing so much stuff, and he's actually also diverting a little bit of his time trying to solve this situation as well, only for his advice to fall on, to fall on deaf ears and all that. Actually, as a reader, I was extremely livid at this situation, right? I was essentially shouting in my own brain, like, Robthor, you are the reason why this happened in the first place, and so on and so forth. Now, granted, that is a little bit harsh and whatnot. He did lose his wife and potentially his daughter. I'm not gonna spoil that part, but still, at the very end here, I was like, if you had just listened to Souma, I wouldn't, just as Souma said, right, maybe potentially it would still have happened, but, also, there should have been a lot more other countermeasures, or at least the damage would be a little bit lower, right? Maybe there could have been more early warning and so on and so forth. Maybe the timing of the landslide happening would be pushed much further in the future, where, maybe when things have settled down in the Empire, there is more, adequate manpower and resources to do these kinds of relief efforts, right? And so, having all that, and yet seeing what Souma has been doing and all that he has been working for and working towards and so on and so forth, and then to still see him beat himself up at the very end here, you just feel like, damn, Souma, you really can't be everywhere at every time, chill. There are some stuff that just happens, but that is why Souma is Souma, right? And in a way though, so there's two things in regards to this. One is why exactly does Souma feel that he is responsible for this? Well, you might be thinking, how can you plan for every sort of contingency and so on and so forth? But I feel like part of the reason why what he's thinking there maybe makes a little bit more sense is that he clearly knew that within the village there was this guy who was opposed to doing any sort of conservation effort towards the forest and whatnot. So he had that in the back of his mind the entire time. But he ultimately did not act on it because he felt there were more important things to do, right? And so that is why he is having a bigger reaction here than perhaps then perhaps should be normal in a sense, because he did knew of this situation, but he did not take action on the situation. And so it's not a case where, you know, how can you be omnipotent and know everything and literally plan for everything. But in this case, he feels responsible because he actually didn't know about this situation, but decided that it was simply a lower priority. All right, and this is just the kind of person that Souma is, that he gets worked up over this kind of thing, and he wants to really you know, he feels that he's kind of responsible for it, right? Now, the interesting thing here, though, is that quite the ironic thing as well, I feel, is, you know, it kind of goes against, you know, the entire title of this series, which is, this is a realist, this is a hero who is also a realist, right? Who takes things for, no, he looks at things from a very pragmatic point of view, supposedly, right? So the pragmatic view here, you know, the realist, and you know, keeping it real, as we say, is that yes, there was absolutely no time to really make amends to that kind of situation, right? Clearly, sure, if needed, Souma could have gone all the way to the village, you know, had a stern talking to with Robthor and everything, and made sure that his policy of you know, doing frequent checks on the forest, thinning the forest, and all that was done. But that would have also wasted valuable time, valuable resources, and so on and so forth. Whereas, you know, here he says he's concentrating on two things, right? The food shortage and the potential conflict with the Three Kingdoms. And absolutely, as a king, you know, as a leader, you need to prioritize, right? You need to take in mind what exactly is the most important thing on your plate right now, and you know, plan accordingly, right? Like, I'm sorry to say, but there's simply not enough time and resources to do every single little thing. Souma certainly can't do everything by himself either, right? You know, in order to get through with all these different situations, he still needs the people under him to help out as well, right? He needs people to go to the various places to do various things. He needs resources to do that as well. He needs time, and those are all stuff that are of limited supply. A true leader always manages to prioritize, you know, what is the most important thing in order to keep everyone moving forward into the future, right? So there's absolutely no problem with what Souma did here. And I was actually quite surprised by the fact that he beat himself up so much over this situation, because I felt like that's not really being a realist, right? That's actually kind of letting your emotions take over instead. But I think what, you know, I didn't really go that far into a light novel. I keep on saying this. I only ended on like on the third novel or something of that sort. But throughout the series, throughout those first few novels, I kind of got this feeling that even though Souma tries to be a realist, in actuality he lets these stuff affect him a little bit too much, right? Now, I don't know, with maybe in the future the author is trying to develop it in a way where Souma, you know, where Souma is faced with some true dilemmas, you know, trying to force him into making hard decisions, hard choices, sacrificing some people for the others and whatnot. Because you know, this situation here, you could say, is exactly a trade-off, right? Should I be trying to save the country, you know, the food shortage situation, which potentially could involve tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. I'm not quite sure what the population of the country is, but at the very least, you know, food is something everybody needs, right? It affects thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people. Whereas the landslide here, yes, it killed 100 people. If there was actually a famine going on throughout the country, though, how many more times would that be? You know, the number of dead and weak and so on and so forth. And heck, you know, using that moment of opportunity, if you have an outside invasion or whatnot, well, then, you know, the situation is going to be even worse, right? So it's all trade-offs here. And I guess potentially, you know, this might also be, you know, the title might also be referring how Souma gradually becomes a realist because he is thrust into this leadership position. And I guess that's also a possibility as well here. So, yeah, maybe that's how the situation goes. But basically my main point here is that as a realist, as a pragmatic person, you know, there's no use to getting yourself all emotional and whatnot over this situation. In fact, you should be concentrating on the very next thing and trying to, again, you know, prioritize and knock things out in order, right? And you can't leave yourself agonizing over this and leaving yourself in a state of paralysis, because hey, there's still many people who are waiting for you to make decisions that are going to affect many lives in the future. That is just what happens when you are in a leadership position. Sure, like, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have those he shouldn't be affected by those dead lives and whatnot. You know, you certainly don't want to turn into an emotionless and heartless person, but at the same time, you know, you gotta have a healthy perspective on things. Otherwise, you are just gonna drive yourself crazy in regards to all of this. And hey, many people probably have, right? The stress, the you know, the stress and whatnot that comes from holding public office, and you know, having the conscience of you know, these lives on you. You know, that's why for some people, you know, public office is not exactly a walk in the park in any sort of situation. So you know, give more credit to the leaders of countries and so on, or just give more credit to leaders as a whole, I guess, should be the takeaway here. But anyways, yeah, so we kind of focused only on that part, but I feel like it was kind of important because, you know, the anime did not really go through the entire backstory of the Dark Hell Village situation, and the uncle and Souma's own perspective as well. So hopefully this kind of clears up things a little bit, and also helps explain Souma's behavior at the end here. Anyways, that's it for episode 8 of Realist Hero. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.